Hey, welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm Sal Interdonato here with my co-host Steve Anderson. The Black Knight Nation podcast is sponsored by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon is a world-class consulting firm that trains employees in sports psychology secrets that drastically improve work performance. Founder is Dr. Joe Ross. Joe Ross was an Army fullback. He was an Army fullbacks coach, and he is an Army officer. And we thank Higher Echelon for sponsoring this podcast. Steve, we got on one of the recent Army football legends here tonight. We have on Kell Walker. Kell, thanks a lot for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me. I was wondering when Sal was going to get me on this show, man.
We're gonna have a lot of fun here tonight. We're gonna talk about how Kell got to his journey to West Point, his career. We're gonna talk a little Army Air Force rivalry. That game is Saturday. Steve, the Commander-in-Chief's trophy is on the line. You know, it right now the Army's reeling 3 straight losses. It's time to right the ship, and this is the perfect day to perfect game to do it. We'll get to that, but first, let's hear a little bit about Kell. I think I probably talked to you. You know, you were one of the more engaging guys that I talked to on the beat, right? You probably sometimes got sick of me, kind of probably asking you questions at times, right?
Never.
But it seems like you had a really interesting story on how you got to West Point. Maybe you could fill us in on that, and then we'll talk a little bit about your career.
Yeah. So I was originally born in Rockford, Illinois, about 45 minutes south of Madison, Wisconsin, 45 minutes north of Chicago, Illinois. You know, it's a typical story. Born in an unfortunate situation, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And I actually didn't start playing football until I was actually in ninth grade. In high school, one of my brothers, a guy that I looked up to, I called him my brother because he was a huge mentor and influence on my life. So one of the guys I looked up to, he actually was playing football. He was supposed to go D1 and do these big things, but, you know, life kind of took a toll on him. So I actually emulated how he played football, and I decided to try it out. My high school coach gave me a chance, and I did okay for the first 2 years. And I feel like my junior year, that's when I really started to break out my shell and started to become a running back and be comfortable in the pads and in my own skin. So right around that time, I played Coach Davis, Brent Davis's alma mater. I think I rushed for a couple hundred yards against them, had a couple touchdowns against them, and West Point took a liking to me. Unfortunately, like a lot of athletes, my test scores wasn't up to par, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we need a second chance to get our test scores up to par, so I went straight to the prep school. I did okay at the prep school. I try to make my mark at the prep school and try to leave a mark there. And I think Coach Munkin and the whole offensive staff took a liking to me, and they gave me a chance going into camp of my first plebe year, actually.
Yeah, Kell, that's you know, I think it's interesting. You say you didn't play football in ninth grade. You know, one of the most famous running backs of all time didn't start football until he was in ninth grade, and his name was Walter Payton. So, you know, my son started flag this year, and I couldn't help as much as I want, but you know, when you play so young, you develop bad habits because if you're an athlete, it's just see ball go. You don't work on footwork. You don't work on keys. It's just so I kind of agree, you know, with playing football a little bit later, not like super young. Like my son is, you know, he was 5, 6 years old, but definitely a little older. But back to your story, Kell, about going to the prep school. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't have good test scores either. I had a good GPA. I didn't test real well, so I went to the prep school as well. But that's how Army redshirts, man. That's how we compete, right? Yeah. It actually is. It's even better than a redshirt because it doesn't cost us any eligibility. So it actually, for guys that don't know the military's for them, you know, it actually doesn't hurt them at all. It doesn't start their clock. It's just another prep school. So plus, I mean, I really needed it, Kell. I don't know how much you felt you needed it versus, you know, academically versus physically, but like overall maturity, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like I thought the prep school was exactly what I needed at that point to help prepare me not only to go to West Point, but, you know, I wanted to be a player, you know, like I didn't just want to go and, you know, I didn't even know what West Point, when I got recruited, Kell, they told me I was going to make $100,000 when I graduated. Right?
I heard that, yeah.
So, but that's really cool. You know, I'm a U guy as well. You know, we always say U SMAPs. I don't know if that still went around
Yes,
when you were
sir.
there, Kel. So, but that's cool. How did you like playing at the prep school? Now, Kel, was it at West Point when you were there, or you before that?
Oh, it was at West Point
Okay.
when I was there. Yep.
Yeah.
So I graduated high school in 2015, May of 2015.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think June or July, I went straight into prep school. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time. Coming in, I was kind of cocky and arrogant. Kind of felt like I deserved to be there,
Yeah.
and it showed on the field. As competitors, we got to know our competitive ability and where we are as far as athletes. And I felt like I deserved to be there. As far as off the field, I was struggling a little bit about should I be here? Do I deserve to be here? Or I just don't want to be here. The Army I had a distaste for the Army. I had a distaste for everything that was going on, which is natural, right? Because we come to these schools, especially Army and these academy schools, and we have no idea what we're gonna get hit with. So I kind of hit a brick wall, and I kind of had a coming to moment with myself, and just like, do I deserve to be here? Should I be here? And once I embraced it, I fully embraced it. I enjoyed playing at the prep school. It was also we call it a JUCO year. That's what we
Yeah.
called it. JUCO year. We played some of the best JUCOs in the
Yep.
nation, like Lackawanna College, and we played against some of the top performers in the nation as far as athleticism and just athleticism. So it was a good experience for me. I got to bond with some of the guys around me as well in that locker room that I never thought I'd be able to bond with, and that translated to my plebe year, yuck year, Cal year, all the way to first year, even to this day. Actually, one of my guys I went to prep school. Now his name is Zach Potter. He just texted me today, asked me if I was coming to his wedding. So it built relationships that I was gonna, that I wanted for life. So playing at the prep school was a tremendous blessing for me because I honestly developed my ability to play against some of the top performers in the nation. So
Yeah, we did. Well, you learn the system, and you create
Yeah.
the core group of guys that
Yeah.
are going to change things at West Point, right?
right,
Uh,
right,
At that point, you guys were still trying to change it.
Yeah,
We were still, we always said bring it back. That was our saying because we ain't won it forever. My senior year, so we bring
Yeah.
it back. But you learn the system. You got the core group of guys that are going to lead you. And that's what ultimately brought me back every year, right? Because Kel, I don't know about you, but every year, right? Yeah, I'm leaving after this year, man. I can't.
yeah,
Like I think this is my last year, man. And then you look around and you're like, dude, I fucking love these guys, man. Like these are my boys. You can't leave them, and that's what ultimately would happen. Ben Kawika, huge Army football supporter in the program, director of player personnel now. Me and him had to sit down and talk about the brotherhood. When I thought about heading out of there after prep school, and it was about the brotherhood, man. So that's what it will always be about, and that's why the biggest thing about recruiting for us is we got to get athletes there, right? Kel, we got to get you there. Whatever we need to do to get you there, we got to get you there because we know every 18-year-old, 17-year-old that dominates high school football always believe they're going pro, right? Don't see anything else. We're going pro. All right, yeah, roger that. Yeah, I'll get my degree, whatever. But we're all going to go pro. All of us, right? Every single one of us that dominates is going to go pro. And just hearing your story, right? Like you went to an alma mater of Coach Davis's and then boom, right? You got the offer. And now we got you there. And then you saw it. So kind of talk to us. So mine didn't happen until later, until I was a sophomore where I had to start committing where I was like, okay, I'm done with the mind games of I'm going to leave. I'm going to go somewhere else. Mine was a little later, to be honest. But, Kel, I had a couple trips along the way. Prep school, I got in trouble. Freshman year, I got in trouble.
Yeah.
So talk about what that mindset change was and how it changed you and how it changed the way you led as a peer and as an underclassman.
Right. So coming straight from high school, going in straight to the prep school, and you doing, the prep school of Beast Barracks, the small trial of Beast Barracks, the small trial of adversity. It was kind of hard. It was a hard adjustment for me because I never really experienced the Army or any. I've never simulated an Army culture before that. I just been assimilated to team culture and building teams around me. And I didn't realize that I was doing that my whole life. So it was kind of hard for me not realizing that going into the prep school. But, the true challenge came after the prep school when I was going through Beast Barracks because I felt like I already arrived. I already did my thing at prep school. I already rushed for this amount of yards. I won athlete of the year for prep school. I should already have good graces with the West Point community. And what I didn't realize, I needed to earn that. I needed to earn that respect from not only, the Army community, West Point community, the Army fans, but I need to earn that respect from my peers as well. So coming through there through Beast Barracks, I just feel like I had to embrace the moment and I had to help everybody around me and coach everybody around me and also learn from everybody around me. So, but also playing football, it was a lot of trials and tribulations. I was one of those guys who didn't assimilate very well coming into West Point. I had made a lot of mistakes throughout my years. 4 years I've been at the academy, I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm the first to admit that. Those mistakes they don't define you. It's how you bounce back from. And I always persevere. And the special part about it is my guys, my peers, my friends, my coaches around me, they always lifted me up and told me that I could do better. So they pushed me to do better, and ultimately, I got to the destination where I felt like I could do better and I belonged there. So, what allowed me to lead and be a great peer in my senior season was the trials and tribulations I went through the 3 years prior to that. The mistakes I made, the mistakes I've seen my leaders make while I was coming up through the program, and how I wanted to lead. I let the slotback group. I feel like I say 2 years. A lot of people say 1 year, but I say 2 years. From junior year to senior year, I let that slotback room, allowing those guys to make mistakes, but also teaching them moments where, okay, what are you going to do with this mistake? Are you going to soak in your misery? Are you going to learn from it and get better and show the coaches that you can actually play on the field? So, and I feel like that's where I left my mark. I always told the guys the truth. I always told them that, we're better than any program in the nation. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So that's how I was able to lead as a firstie playing slot back, and I was able to be a great peer. I was also competitive. A lot of people underestimate competitiveness. They mistake it for arrogance or cockiness, but I mistake it. I always say that to be a great competitor, you have to have those traits because you have to tell the person on the other side of the ball, you're not better than me. I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So when we do a CIC and period 23 or period 18 and we doing CIC with full pass, I'm going to always tell that linebacker, that cornerback, that safety, I'm better than you, and we're going to go out there and compete. So I think me giving it 100% and being a competitor, not only for myself on my side of the ball, but for the other side of the ball, I think that brought a lot of leadership out of myself.
Yeah, one thing that I think was a huge change from how I saw the seniors and juniors lead to where when I come was like, every play there was accountability, right? If you missed a block, if you missed an assignment, if your keys were wrong, not only was I going to hold you accountable after that play, but when we watch film, like you're going to get held accountable again.
Right? We roasting you. You.
Like eye in the sky don't lie, Kell. Right?
Yeah, it don't.
Eye in the sky don't lie. The other cool thing that I thought you talked about there was, using what you learned, your 3 years and not just kind of being like, all right, it's my time. Like I know how to lead. Like you used what you saw, good, bad, and indifferent to kind of shape the leader you are. And, I always thought, as an infantry officer, as a combat arms officer, football prepared me to be a leader more than really any class, any, pretty close to, that football and Ranger School is what, helped me become a better leader. So just being on a team, right, having a goal, having a mission, right. We had workouts. I had workout with my platoon. I had workouts with my company. So I just thought that football has a really, really easy parallel to the going in the Army. So Kell, tell me about the culture from, basically you said you went to prep school in 15 year, right?
Yep.
So your freshman year was the 2016 season, right? Which was a big year.
Yep.
Right? That was where basically you saw what is expected from there on out.
Yep.
So talk about the pressure of the team coming back the next year and kind of like what you felt, now that the curse or the streak or whatever you want to call it was broken. Kind of talk about how you guys approach that off season specifically, and then how you kind of built off that each year and going into your junior and then into your senior year.
Okay. Well, I have to talk about the 2016 season a little bit in preseason in order for me to talk about so forth. You know, coming in after prep school, coming into my plebe year, it was kind of like a standard was already set. Like I said, I told Sal earlier, like those guys already had the recipe. They were just missing something. They were missing. I feel like they were missing a key part of their offense and defense to actually bring them together to become a competitive team. And I feel like my class did that. We had a gang of freshmen who started as freshmen.
Yeah.
You know, we had a gang of people started as freshmen who can incorporate into that offense or defense. So, I mean, I realized the culture was set for us from that moment and set forth throughout my whole career when we were in camp and I had just got pulled up to, play with the big guys. And I was going for a pitch. The quarterback didn't pitch it, but Jeremy Tim laid me out, flatlined me. I mean, like he planked me. He really did plank me. I was in the air for about 30 seconds. I felt my body hovering over my soul. I felt my soul hovering over my body. Excuse me. But that from that moment on, I knew that, this was a different team. This is a different team than I saw when I was at prep school, a 2-10 team. This is a different team. We're going to make a difference this time. And to this day, I still don't know if Coach Munkin told him to do that, but that's something I can need to ask Coach Munkin in the future. If he told Jeremy Tim to do that. But that was awakening for me. I realized that this is real deal. This is college football, And so going in 2000, we did our thing in 2016. We broke the streak. Unfortunately, we fell to Air Force that year at home. But we were determined to next year we're gonna come back. It was get back for us. So
Nice.
Going into that 2017 season, we had great guys. We just had great guys who've been there during a losing streak, who've been there at 2-10, who also seen the glory of being 10-3, 10-4, whatever our season was that 2016 season. So that was fortunate for us. We had Ahmad Bradshaw. We had guys like Ackerman. We had great leaders. You know what I mean? That just took us under their wing and just told us, it's different from what we experienced last time. I had games where I was so heated. I was a hothead back then in 2017. I was a young. I felt, like I said, I was arrogant. I was a hothead back then, and the mom would pull me in, like, calm down. Just, I'm going to pitch you the ball next play and get a first down. You know what I mean? I had leaders like that tell me, calm down, refocus, let's go. Let's get the first down. Let's win this game. Let's keep going. And the Kelvin Hopkins of the world. There would never be a Kelvin Hopkins without Ahmad Bradshaw. You know what I mean? Because Ahmad Bradshaw was so influential on our offense that he left that mark for Kelvin Hopkins, and Kelvin Hopkins grabbed it around with it and made it his own. And that's how Kelvin Hopkins became a great leader. And he was his own person and also propelled us into the future that way too. So, we just had great leaders. We just had great people around us who could relate to us, who could empathize with us, and who could be there with us through the trenches. We all know triple option is the trenches offense. You know what I mean? Especially for slot backs, we're doing everybody's job, and we need to know everybody's job. So we had great people just in the trenches with us, and they just, from Ahmad Bradshaw to Kelvin Hopkins to Christian Anderson, even my senior year, we just had great leaders.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Air Force game that year, right? 2017, where you guys go there and completely shut them down 21-0. And we were talking before, Kell, about how, the defense gets a lot of credit for that win, right? Mm-hmm. But you were able to get into the end zone twice in that game. And I know Ahmad had a huge rushing game that day. Yeah, and that was a day that really I don't know, you didn't shock Air Force, but that was a statement game, no doubt, that you went in there, you closed them out, you shut them down. And I just want, what do you remember the most about maybe that game once the final whistle is blown, or maybe during that game? Had you beat them down enough to where it was over pretty early? Because it seemed like you guys really had the upper hand in that game most of the time.
Right. Well, going into the game, we knew we had to make a statement. There was some words being said, and I don't want to disclose it on the podcast, but we can tolerate Navy. Like I always say, we can tolerate Navy, but we cannot tolerate Air Force. That's just something. That's a rival game that we cannot tolerate. Those guys, they're a great team. Hats off to Coach Calhoun and that team, but We just can't tolerate those guys. So going in there, we had to make a statement. We had to let them know that we're the better academy out of it too. So, I remember drinking a bunch of beet juice before the game, and I remember Ahmad throwing up on the sideline, and he still came back like a warrior. So shout out to Ahmad Bradshaw for that. I'm just throwing that joke in there. But hats off to the defense. The defense did a tremendous job, but on the offensive side, it was guys like Brett Toff and, our whole line and our Darnell Woolfolk, who we just had this determination in our eyes, determination in our soul that we were going to shut these guys out and that we were going to score as much points as we can without any repercussion. We were going to do as much damage as we could. And Air Force's crowd is going crazy. They're cussing us out. They're doing all this type of stuff. They're holding up signs. And I just remember Ahmad setting the precedence. Ahmad and Darnell Woolfolk setting the precedence of our running game early, and that allowed me to do my thing as far as run the ball. And I remember when I got my chance, I was going to leave my mark. So if anybody remembers, after the first touchdown, I did a little dance and I looked at the crowd and I said, "This is for y'all," because I wanted to leave my mark, and we all want to leave our mark. And I think that 21 goose egg left a mark.
Yeah, Kel, obviously I'm a defensive minded guy, but I'll never forget, my was it sophomore year? It was sophomore freshman year. It was right after a bad game, and we had 96 plays on defense.
Right.
We had 96 plays, right?
Right.
I remember a game after my senior year. I only played 47 plays.
Right.
And I remember after that game, I think the team only scored like 7 or 10 points or something. Defense is all hooting and hollering. I'm all excited. I'm telling everybody, like, yeah, see this day, nobody can score on us. I got the stat sheet. It's like our offense had the ball for like 40 minutes, right? And that's when Trent Steelman told me, it's like, yeah, you can't give up a lot of points when you only play 20 minutes of the game.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I just remember thinking, like, shit, yeah, he's right. Like, we didn't play that much, but it just, it's the best triple option offense is a great defense as well. So kind of goes back to that, where the 21-0, I obviously don't have the stats in front of me, but I can imagine a 21-0 game against Air Force. Probably wasn't a lot of defensive plays and a good game control from the Army Black Knights as well.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, Eli Riley, a lot of people don't know this, but, that was a game where Elijah Riley, he plays for the Eagles now. He came back off of, off-field issue, and he came back and he just honestly destroyed and dominated the whole game. Kenneth Brinson, James Gibson, even our president, Mr. President Ryan England, the whole defense just came back and destroyed. They just dominated the whole game. It was one of those games where the defense had to set a precedence as well. They had to make a statement, and they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Coach Munkin was talking about this on his radio show this week, Kel. I think you had that offense, that game had 5 drives. Like there were 2 drives at the end of halves that he didn't count, but they had 5 drives that game, Steve. The offense was on the field that long where they just drove the ball. They were on the 5 long drives, and 3 resulted in touchdowns, and that was enough. That'll go down in the books, man. That game will go down in the books. I mean, you got to put that Street Buster Navy, Kel, right? You were involved in 21 Goose Egg at Air Force. You were involved in. Those 2 have got to be some of the, as far as most influential, important wins in Army history recently. Those are right. Those are there. Those are the 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah. So. Kel, I can't agree more about. Yeah. Well, we will tolerate Navy. We'll do the Navy game.
Yeah.
We're all good with them. But, I cannot stand Air Force. Oh, my God.
I cannot stand Air Force.
Not to mention, it was like 4th and 37 at Air Force, and they decided to throw a bomb and get first and goal, and then I tore my ACL the very next play. So, like, I'm even more salty than the regular, Army player.
It's all good because we took care of them for you, man. We took care of them for you.
Kel, I was including prep school, I was 0-9 against Air Force and Navy.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what I live with on a daily basis, But
or terror, not a scam.
But it got, and you don't necessarily remember it as much, or you don't notice it as a player because you're so focused on the week to week, and you get emails and you get love from everybody, but you truly don't understand how important Army winning is to the brotherhood out here and just West Point grads. I mean, Kel, it's a party every weekend, everywhere around Army Post, and you know it now. You live it now. You're either getting together with the boys, you're talking with the boys, or we're on the Slack, right? We're talking on the Slack app about the game. And then the occasional, we won't hear it as much anymore, but when we played, the occasional guy from Afghanistan getting an email from him was just like, dude, you watched the game? It was like 2:00 in the morning there, and they're like, yeah, man, like of course I watched the game. It's like my highlight of every week. So it's another cool part that I know playing at all the big Power 5 schools is awesome, right? They've got a great following, but like it's just something different about playing on Saturdays at Mikey or with the Army football team that people just don't really understand. So it's really, it's really special.
And that's something we were competing for, though. That's something we was competing. We were competing for our respect against the college football community. You know what I mean? And I think that's a huge part of why we did well, and why we're so successful, and why we continue to be successful throughout the years. Because a lot of teams, they schedule Army for a homecoming, or they schedule Army for like some miscellaneous alumni game or whatever.
Military appreciation,
something like. But they don't realize that like these boys here at Army on the banks of the Hudson, they have something to play for and fight for just as much as the next person. Sometimes it may not be the league and go farther, but it's about the brotherhood at the end of the day. And the brotherhood is a core group amongst players, oftentimes amongst coaches, but mostly amongst players that I'm willing to lay down my life, bleed, sweat, and cry for the next man, to the man next to me, for our quarterback, for our center, for our defensive ends, for our DB. Like we're really able and ready to lay down our lives for the next person, because football is a contact sport, and we really go all out for our brother. So a lot of people don't realize that, but I think over the years they've realized that Army is a force to be reckoned with. So
it's my first and only time I've been stationed at Colorado Springs out here at Fort Carson. Yeah. Of course, I'm only going to be here a year, but of course, the 1 year I'm here, they're playing the game in Arlington and not at the Air Force Academy. I think the Air Force Academy's home this year too, right?
Yeah, they're home this year.
Like it would have been.
Yeah, they're the home team. They're
they're the home team in Arlington. So we would have been able to go to the game, and I would have loved for my boys to experience that. But so Kel, right, you got the CICs coming up this week. Thoughts on where we're at right now as a team, and what you kind of hope / think you're going to see on Saturday.
So I mean, we're coming off a 3-game losing streak right now. I kind of told one of my other brothers who graduated from Army, played football with me. I said this is part of the season where a lot of the players are going to question leadership. We're on a 3-game losing streak. We're going to question each other. We're going to question each other's ability. We're going to question leadership. And I said, but this buffer week between Air Force and the last game we played, Wake Forest, is going to allow us to regroup. It's going to allow us to refocus, kind of love on each other, and kind of fix some of the problems that we did. We saw that stupid mistakes and penalties can cost us any game. It doesn't matter if it's Air Force, Wake Forest, Wisconsin, any other team. Stupid mistakes and stupid penalties can cost us any game. So I think we're strong right now. I think we're stronger than ever. I think we're better than ever. I think we're at a point where we're refocused, we're regrouped. We're about to make a statement with this game, and I think the guys are fully capable of becoming, winning the CIC this year and owning it and dominating for theirs. I believe in the coaches. I think the coaches are refocusing and regrouping as well. Leadership is always from the top down. Sometimes it's bottom up. But top down, when you start at Coach Monken, I think he's refocusing, he's regrouping, he's talking to his staff, and his staff is talking to the players. What can we do better? Let's fix these mistakes that we made 2 weeks ago, and let's go into this game with a clear head, clear mind, clear focus, and let's dominate. So I think the guys are going to do a tremendous job. I expect Tyrell Robinson to get the ball a little bit more this week because he's one of the most explosive players our offense has ever seen in the last decade. You're talking about explosiveness, talent. He's one of the most explosive players. And I think our whole slot back group is the most explosive players on our offense. I think Tyrell Robinson, Brandon Walters, Brahim Murphy, Verrill Howard, even down to some of the guys that don't even see time. I think all of those guys are explosive. I expect them to be incorporated in the game a little bit more this week.
You know what? I think. Sorry for a guy who hasn't gotten the playing time yet this year is Ajon Marshall, right? And he saw some snaps at the end of the game against Wake Forest. Now, no, Brahim Murphy didn't play toward the end of Wake Forest. I don't know if he got banged up a little bit, but maybe there might be a guy, Kell, that just comes out of the blue that Air Force is not prepared for. And everything I've heard about Ajon Marshall has been he's probably almost as good as Tyrell Robinson. So we'll see what Army's going to need something extra right in this game offensively. I think we're going to need. Please get the ball to Isaiah Alston too. Please throw the football.
Yeah.
Please throw the football.
Yeah.
I gotta say that, Steve, we talked about this at Wake Forest, and I watched it again, the replay. When you're down by 14 against a team like Wake Forest, and you continue to run triple option and have Isaiah Alston out there in that drive, I think where they coughed the ball up on the mesh, they didn't throw the ball once. Throw the football. Get Tyrell involved. We repeat this. I'm sorry. That's an interruption, Kell. I interrupted your podcast on that. You know,
I agree.
It's just look. We always say that the bread and butter is the quarterback, fullback. That connection there is the bread and butter of the triple option. It is. But look, no one can argue that when we get the ball on the outside, we are hard to stop. When we pitch the ball and our guys turn the corner, we're hard to stop because that opens up the fake option, where he pulls back and passes, right? Where the slot back just takes off down the seam. You have that opens up, right? You got linebackers trying to get out to the pitch more because now our slot backs are killing us, right? Which opens up the fullback guy, the fullback dive, and the QB follow. We're just so and Kell, I don't know. We've had some really good slot backs in the past 10 years, but I agree, man. Like these slot backs, when they get the pitch and they have 5 yards of room, like they're hitting it and getting it. And they're downhill, and it's really awesome to watch. It's just at the same time frustrating when, And look, I've never been triple option quarterback. Not even gonna pretend to think I know the first thing about reading and when to pitch and when not to pitch and when to take and whatever. I'm not even gonna. But as a guy that knows football pretty well, there's some pitches that could have happened that could have really opened up some things for us. I don't know at this point if, the multiple quarterback system is helping or hurting. We'll wait and see against Air Force and see how that goes. But, huge. I think Air Force has gotten the -3 nudge, right? So I'm gonna take that all day. So I'm gonna cash in on this. And,
I would say. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Cal. Yeah, I was cashing in.
I would say the multiple quarterback system. I think that's working. I think that's working well for us. There's a lot of things. You would never find 3 players who actually ball the same. The exact same. They emulate each other the exact same. Every player brings something else to the table. Every player emulates something different and brings something to the table. So I think the quarterbacks that we rotate now, I think they're all doing a tremendous job. I think they all do things differently. I think some has a little bit more ability than others. And I think that about the slot backs as well. I think the slot backs, obviously we have some that's more talented at running the ball, blocking, catching passes, doing things like that. And that's how our offenses run. That's how our offenses run with the A and T back. So as far as Isaiah Alston, I agree with you, Sal. I think he need to get the ball a little bit more. I think we need to throw it up to him and let him go get it and be an athlete. But ultimately, we got to trust the coaches. And I think this is a player in me and trust. I think it's a player in me, not the fan in me, but the player in me. Sometimes we got to trust the coaches and allow them to do their jobs And because they're the experts at the offense, they're the experts. They're doing. Coach Monk has been doing this triple option for 20 years. You know what I mean? So, and trust that you're gonna get the balls to the athletes. But I think this week, I feel it in my bones. This week, we're going to get a ball to the athletes, and we're going to show everything the Army can do. And I think it's going to be a terror for the other teams following Air Force, including Navy.
I agree, man. I think this is like the beginning of the rest of the season, right? I think this is where, we go 5-3 with a CIC win. The guys start to feel the juice a little bit, and we start running the table. I'm right there with you, man. I think that's the feeling I get. I'm breathing in the chair force air out here anyway, so I feel like I'm weaker as I'm around this area. I might need to get out of here.
I just don't want to see. Yeah, I just don't want to see a vanilla offense. I don't want to see a vanilla offense. I don't want to see like fullback dive 3 times in a row punt. I don't want to see that on Saturday. I think that you have, like we said, you have to get some guys involved, get everybody involved here, and the fullbacks. Anthony Atkins is looking pretty good. Hopefully, Steve, like you said, those pitches and those play actions set up the middle a little bit more. And I don't think honestly, I don't know a lot of people that are catching Anthony Atkins in the open field. Wake Forest couldn't do it last game, and they have some pretty good athletes on defense. So I know Air Force's defense is highly ranked. Their offense is the number 1 rushing attack in college football. But we know you can throw all those things out the window in this game, right? I mean, you can just throw those things, the rankings, and out the window. Yeah. It's going to be physical. It's going to be Kell. I talked to actually Tucker Waugh about this earlier this week. Your former coach, position coach. The physicality of these games is off the charts, right? I mean, you just don't see this in college football where all 11 players on each side are playing their damnedest, their hardest. And when that happens, I mean, I don't know how you felt after these games, these service academy games, but you could speak on how physical these games are, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to speak on how I felt or what I was saying during the games because Lord knows that's just up to me and Guy right now, my teammates. But it was during the games, it was just a natural hate for the other side. Anybody that we lined up against, it was like they're the enemy. It's time to attack. It's time to suppress, destroy whatever this enemy, and we're gonna go home and we're gonna celebrate this win. But as far as the physicality during the Air Force game, it was always physical. Air Force is a force to be reckoned with too. I'm not going to talk bad about Air Force's team and Coach Calhoun and what he's done with that team, but as far as us playing them, it's always a close game. Besides 2017, obviously, but it's always a close game because we run a similar offense. They're Air Force for a reason. They let it fly a little bit more than we do, which is natural. They're in the Mountain West. They're part of a conference who let it fly a little bit more. And we're independent. We're part of a team. We're part of a group where we run the ball for a living and we make our money on the ground. That's the Army. That's what we do in the Army. We make our money on the ground. So it's always physical. It's always going to be a hate for those guys as long as we're in the Army uniform and they're in the Air Force uniform. But at the end of the day, it's about I can hit you as hard as I can. And this is one of the only sports you can do this in besides rugby with pads legally. This is the only sports you can do it in. I can hit you as hard as I can, and I'm going to see if you walk away from the end of this play. You can tackle me as hard as you can, and you're going to see if I can stand up and walk up. And our ego and our pride, and our love for our brothers, that allows us to get up after every play, no matter what injury it is, no matter if it's a broken rib, broken toe, sprained, whatever. We're going to get up, and we're going to continue to drive, and we're going to shove the ball down your throat every drive, every play. And that's what the Army brings to this game.
Now, speaking on the game, I believe Coach Wall is going to make history this game, right?
Make history, my guy.
He's about to make history. Yeah. It's 243rd, I think.
Actually, 239, right?
239.
And technically, he did break the record against Wake Forest. I talked to him this week about it. 237, Red Blake. They named a field after him at Michael Stadium. I mean, the guy is, contrary to popular belief, I wasn't around when Red Blake coached, but
man.
But I mean, that's to coaching more games than Red Blake at West Point. I mean, that is incredible. Kell, maybe you could talk about Tucker really quick. I mean, what an amazing, great coach, even better person. I mean, just talk to us a little bit about what was like having him as a kind of a mentor, so to speak?
Well, Coach Wall, I would say this about Coach Tucker Wall. He was one of those guys who actually cared about each player. No matter what is off the field or on the field, he honestly cared about your well-being and cared about your development as a player and as a man. And that's all that's more than we can ask for as a player. You know what I mean? Some of us come into college football without fathers, without father figures, such as myself, without father figures, and he stepped into the play to be somebody I can emulate moving forward throughout my life. So I definitely appreciate him for that. But as far as a coach and coaching me on the field, Tuck, I call him Coach Tuck. Tuck was a guy that empathize with anybody on the field. You know, he told us straight. Sometimes he had to put us in a gray area, and that's every coach because he wanted to see how we respond to certain things. But you know, whenever I would make the wrong move, the wrong play, if I leave at the wrong time in our triple option offense, he'll always on my tail about it. He'll always talk to me about it in the film room, and he's not afraid to call you out in front of everybody. He's not afraid to call you out in front of everybody, and I think we need that as young players. We need somebody to call us out on our BS in front of everybody so we can get right. And the other players around the room, they'll take note of that. So, Coach is just a tremendous guy, and he's the epitome of perseverance. And I don't know if there's an article that came about him earlier. He was battling Parkinson's disease, but this guy came to work every single day, never missed a day, battling Parkinson's disease, and he's just grinding throughout the whole practice every single day from the sunshine in August or actually springtime when we doing preseason, we doing spring ball to the snowy weather in December, winters of December. He's out there grinding every single day and he's doing his thing.
An inspiration, right? An inspiration, no doubt. I mean, I had a great conversation. If you want to check our YouTube channel at Black Knight Nation, there's a podcast up with Tucker Wall this week talking about, him hit the milestone for him, and also, a little bit about the Army Air Force rivalry. He was a little bit more diplomatic, let's say, about the Army Air Force rivalry than you might be, Kell and Steve. But Kell, before we get off here, just is there? I mean, you had so many good memories, right? As a West Point football player, I mean, there were probably a ton that stand out. Is there one that comes to your mind right off the bat that you can share a story with us about?
Oh man, yeah. One game that honestly that plays in my head every single day, honestly, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but it plays in my. I watch this highlights of this game all the time. It was Army Temple 2017. Army Temple 2017. We're backs against the wall, going in the fourth quarter, 1 minute offense. We put an unexperienced college football player, Kelvin Hopkins, who was my roommate at the time, been my roommate throughout my whole Army career at West Point. We were in the same company, D1. Shout out to Doug's. It was an unexperienced Kelvin Hopkins coming in game 1 minute and made a name for himself and also put Army on his back. He threw the ball. He connected with me a couple times, and he also connected with Jermaine Adams in the back of the end zone. And a lot of people don't understand this about Kelvin. He's so smart and such good of a football player. He threw the ball as early as possible because he knew Jermaine would open up on his back shoulder. So that game stands out to me completely because our defense did their thing in overtime, and they stopped them, and we got the field goal, and we won the game. And I feel like that was a great team win, and I feel like that's the epitome of Army football. Down to the nail, tooth and nail. We're fighting for every yard, fighting for every score, every touchdown. And at the end of the day, no matter how many casualties we take, how many people is hurt, the next man's gonna stand up and we're gonna get it done at the end of the day. So that's the game.
Yeah. And then Kell, just to close it out here, man. What's going on now? What are you doing, and where are you at? And just kind of tell us about what's going on in the present day life of Kell Walker.
I got you, man. So I graduated December 2020. I immediately went on med hold for a little bit. I had some medical issues that I need to work out, but ultimately I ended up commissioned around March. I was a little snowbirding for a little bit here at FA Bullock, and now I'm about to finish up FA Bullock right here in December. After this, I'm going to 427 FA, 2nd Brigade at Fort Bliss. I'm hoping to be an FDO there, not an FSO, but I'm hoping to be an FDO or a platoon leader there. And potentially be going to Korea sometime next year in 2022. So, I mean, my Army career is about to kick off now. I'm on the tail end of my TRADOC experience. It's been a great experience, but I'm ultimately ready to get out there and start actually frying with my soldiers and shooting rounds with my soldiers and actually working. So, we're grinding.
So you're down at Sill right now?
I'm down at Fort Sill right now.
All right, and then heading down to Bliss even further. I got a couple buddies down there, so keep me posted on who your commander is and everything, and we'll
yes, sir.
see you can link up. And Kell, if you got the opportunity, man, as long as you're good medically, just go to Ranger School. That's my only plug.
Hey, I've been having a debate with some people. They've been trying to get me to go Ranger PT out here, but I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you want to.
I got you. That's something I may be interested in. I don't know. I'm gonna look into it. Hey, Jets, can I say this before we get off?
Yeah.
I just want to say this. Thank you for having me on this show. Thank you for allowing me to express my opinions about Army football, where I've been and where I am now. But I also want to leave everybody with this for everybody that's watching this National Diabetes Month. So I want to praise those people I want to lift up the people who's actually living with diabetes right now and know that this is disease that doesn't have to conquer your life, but have to conquer you. You can live with it, and you can live an exceptional life with it. My twin sister, actually, she has diabetes, and since she was 9 or 10 years old, and she's just been an example for the community, for all of us. She's crushing it. She take care of herself, and she's just living life to the best of her ability. And I just want to let everybody know out there, if you suffer from diabetes, there's technology. Thank God for modern technology. There's technology that you can get into, but I ask that everybody take care of themselves, stay healthy, stay safe, and ask the doctor about the steps moving forward. And I want to praise those out there who's strong enough to actually conquer this and to move forward in their life with this. So I wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, it's really cool, Kell.
Kell, you have a fan. You have a fan here on the chat. This was great. And Kell, you're a natural at this. We really appreciate everything you've done in your career, and now appreciate you spending time with us today. Steve, this was a great podcast. We really appreciate. We might have to call back to give some analysis on Saturday after the Army beats Air Force, right?
I'll be here, man. I'm being Dallas though. I'm being Dallas, so I'm gonna be partying up like an old grad, like we should.
Okay, right? Okay, maybe we'll hit you up next week. Then we'll hit you up next week.
I'll be here.
There's gonna be quite the get together around here as well, Cal. So
oh yeah, for sure.
We'll definitely try to link up after the game. And yes, now we do know that there's 5 is live. Let's go.
5 is live, baby. It's always been live.
That's that OG is Pat Mealy. All right, so let me.
You know what? Let's bring that up real quick. The number 5, Kel, before we go. Sure. Steve, you're saying it's Pat Mealy. I remember Pat. Then you had Joe Walker, right? Number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the great Kell Walker, of course. And then we have AJ Howard, right? Yeah. Am I missing anybody with the 5 is alive?
I think Jeremy Trim.
Jerry Trim, yeah, man.
Oh,
Jeremy Trim.
And he was quite the baller as well on the pro style side of things.
Yes, sir. He was actually a baller out there. It's actually crazy about Jeremy Trimble because
you can't. Ain't anybody can just rock 5. All right.
Can't everybody rock 5? It's definitely it's hereditary. It's handed down to the most special of people. You know what I mean?
Right. You got to actually press the right button when you go to the equipment room. You got to know that secret pin in order
to issue
to you.
You know it.
So, Cal, it's been awesome, man. All right, it's been good linking up. I'm glad to hear about everything working out with medically, your commission. You're the kind of guy that needs to be in front of soldiers, and I look forward to getting to know you more, and we'll definitely get you back on here later on.
Sounds good, brothers. I appreciate you for having me, man. I really do. I really do. Thank you so much.
Well, go Army, beat Air Force.
Go Army, beat Air Force. All right, brothers. Y'all take care.